Yeah, so hey everybody, if it's Wednesday, it's a blockchain day. So welcome to Blockchain Chat. I'm Cherie. I am the founder of the organization at Black Blockchain Consultants. We focus on the business of blockchain. We want to make all y'all millionaires and billionaires in the house. So,
Yeah.
hello. So what is the business of blockchain? So we focus on four things in here. Number one, blockchain jobs. If that's what you want to do, you want to get a blockchain job, we talk about that. We talk about blockchain-based businesses, starting a side hustle, starting a main hustle. We talk about investing in the blockchain, whether you want to invest time or money in projects, becoming a smarter investor. And then how do we build generational wealth from this $3.1 trillion upcoming industry? Based on coronavirus, I'm doubling that to 6.2 trillion for various reasons. So we're here to talk about all of that. We're supposed to have a guest on tonight. So if you guys see him in the chat, let me know. Mr. Paul McNeil. We'll see if he gets here, but in the meantime, y'all know I always come up with something else to talk about as well. So with that, before we started the recording, we were talking about technology and having to take a step back and breathe and know that we can't get everything right now. That's Talisha saying that we can't, even though we ask her for everything now, we can't get it all right now. And then my breakthrough of the week has been, I've been trying to do something and I've been trying to get to step B, step B, step B, step B. And I know that if I don't take the time to do step A properly, then a year from now, step B is going to crumble, and it's going to crumble bad. And one of the hardest things for me to do, and some of you may be the same way, is to take a step back and really say, okay, do step A properly, take another week, do step A properly, so that when you're ready to do step B, there's some order and organization to it. So since we're waiting for our guests to come, I'd love to throw that out, have all of you introduce yourself on the panel and throw that out as well. Especially with blockchain, we want it to move faster than it is moving. You know, we're like waiting for certain things to happen and the engineers are not moving as fast as we'd like. You know, we wanted crypto to be mainstream by now and it isn't, and all of that stuff. So how do we actually handle that? So Talisha, since I picked on you and you're the tech person, let's start with you. Introduce yourself and anything you want to talk about surrounding that.
Sure. I am Talisha Shine. I am the VP of BCI, Blockchain Consortium International, and I am the resident tech advisor here. And I would always say, you know, you have two different mindsets. I think people want what they want when they want it, but on that back end portion, it's like, do you want to keep taking the patches? Because you don't want to take the patches. You always cry and always moan when you're like, oh, I got to download the patch. But that means that you got what you wanted when you wanted it. Instead of waiting for the patch to be actually into the base version, you got a semi-workable version, and then we just keep giving it to you and patching it along. Some people love that, some people don't. So that's what you have to look at, even from a blockchain perspective. You have what we consider an MVP right now. Some of it a little more robust than others, but it's going to take that time to build and to fix the bugs and to do the patches and to retest and move. We're in a very dynamic situation right now where things change. We have different consensus protocols coming in at different points in time. We're trying to remain competitive. There's a lot moving on in this space. And to do that all at the same time simultaneously is challenging from any perspective. It's just like trying to make dinner, get the kids' homework together, all this other stuff. Like, just think what you're doing. Something has to give. And if you're trying to build something foundational, you have to give that time to let it settle.
Amen. So while we have Dr. Keisha talking in the chat, I want you to throw in the chat, something that you have to be patient with now. So we're gonna admit some of the things we have to be patient with now. So I personally have to be patient with this new business that I'm starting. Part B is making a bunch of cold calls, contacting a bunch of people to say, this is what I got, but I got to organize my database and my social marketing campaign before I move to part B. So that's really what I was talking about. But I want to hear what other people have to be patient with. And Dr. Keisha, introduce yourself and, you know, whatever you got on your mind for the topic.
Well, you know, actually, I wanted to talk, well, I'm Dr. Keisha first, Dr. Keisha Waddell, Executive Director of the Center for Blockchain Studies. And the biggest thing I think right now that I'm really struggling with is, you know, I love to learn. So I got to keep things in balance. Just there's so much to learn right now in this space that I just have to reel it back and say, okay, you know, I'm the racehorse here and I got to take care of myself. So self-care is another big deal thing going on right here amongst all of this activity that we've got going on. Yeah, so basically just that the balance of all the information that's coming in at us, where we live in a time where information is pushed to us. So, you know, having to balance out the notifications from here and from there, like we were just talking about what's now, what's income producing kind of activities, those kind of things we have to really make balance of. So there you go. Everybody exhale.
And Corey agrees with you. He's saying you have to be patient with tech learning.
Yeah.
Overwhelm yourself with all the things being offered. So once again, we have a ton of people in the chat tonight. So tell us something that you have to be patient with during this whole time here. The pandemic, maybe you got to be patient with your kids or patient with the boss, or, you know, learning how to be productive from home. You know, all of that stuff. So Eric, why don't you introduce yourself and chime in on the conversation?
Eric Spence, President, Blockchain Consortium International. I would say that for me, patient over looking at problems that you really do believe that there are some solutions for. Nevertheless, the world isn't ready for the solution. The world would rather just live with the problem. And that is something, or even not willing to try to kind of attack the problem from a different angle. That many times I think, at least, I think all of us on this panel and all of us probably listen, you know, we don't see the blockchain as being the solution for every problem, but there are certain problems that we do believe that if it was deployed correctly, could, you know, solve some things and make some things easier. But nevertheless, the world yet universally isn't quite ready yet for that. And you have to be patient now for everyone to kind of catch up to speed and be willing to accept new solutions to pre-existing problems. So.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that the world is not ready yet, and the technology isn't ready yet either. And we, within BBC, most of us has decided to be kind of that middle person or that bridge between the engineers and mass adoption. And, you know, it's kind of like double dutch, you know, if you used to play double dutch when you were a kid, you're like, you know, until you're ready to jump in.
Exactly.
Eric is like, no, I don't.
He's like, no, I don't know that.
But Eric, you saw double dutch being played, so you're a man of a certain age, so I know
Right.
you saw
Right.
double dutch being played.
You watched us jump.
No, I know this, but you know what? Listen, there are certain things where, okay, there's one thing of us not knowing, you know, or seeing problems that we have. Man, I have no clue. Like, even right now, we do not have, for the current virus pandemic that we're dealing with, we don't have the vaccine yet. So there's certain things that we don't know. There are other things where I'm going, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We should do that now. And then, you know, people are like, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to live with our old problems, you know, for now. And let me say this on a side note. Tawana sent me a video. I'm going to post this probably in the BBC in our Inner Circle group. but Tawana sent me a video on Sunday night, and I watched it, and I was like, you know, it's about an hour and a half, and it was a new company looking to launch their tokenized version of the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I meant to tell Tawana, like, they came up with some solutions that are they make so much sense. And yet I was like, why aren't we doing this right now? This would make everything so much better for so many people that are experiencing so much pain financially if we could employ that. And I, you know, I might take too long to kind of talk about what they offered, but I was like, this is great. And this was great. But once again,
but you know what, Eric, you bring up a really good point though. You know, so many of us have some great ideas and there's value in bringing that out, you know, because like in this time right now, you know, I got to go back to my own little circumstances. You know, I'm into integrating technology and digitizing stuff, you know, in my education sector. Now I become relevant all of a sudden, like overnight because of COVID, you know? So, you know, it's like,
that's amazing how that happened, right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's an overnight success that took how many years, right?
Right. And, you know, somebody said, you know, you might want to take stuff off your computer at work, friends. And now we're locked onto the school. Like, dang, it's on my desktop. Like, if you had it in the cloud, it could have followed you. But, you know, okay. That's what I was saying, you know? So there's value in sharing those really innovative ideas before their time, because things like this come around and make you relevant before you know it.
Also just the life.
They're like, yeah, I remember that. You know, Eric said that. You know, Eric said that.
like listen, and listen, I just got to throw this out because this is one of the things that they said, and I'm just going to say it because I just got to get this out because it's been in my system, like rattling around for no reason.
Get it out, Eric.
Like,
get it out.
But you know, like their thing was tokenized equity. Of course, when we talk about that, of course, you know, we talk about tokenization of assets a lot, and that being one, tokenized equity. But they also merged that together with lending, with crypto lending against that tokenized equity. Now, of course, you know, we do have platforms, you know, I think, you know, even for our virtual summit that we did last year, we interviewed Anthony Trenshaw from Nexo, right? And he talked about lending platforms. Now, here was the difference that I saw that they offered that I was like, okay, this is amazing. And that was, okay, they say you have your equity there and then you go and you take a loan against it. When you are now, and it's in a tokenized form, as you are paying back your loan, those equity tokens are sent back to you.
Oh.
So I know, like, how incredible was that? Because most of the time, how many of us have been into a situation or have seen a situation where someone, you know what, they took a loan back and we took a loan out and they paid it. Then some crises hit to them at some point in time and they weren't able to complete the payment. And then they walk away with nothing, with a default. They're like, no, once we have it in tokenized form, we don't need to do that. As you pay it back, you get your token, your equity back to you. And I was like,
that incentivizes you to pay it back faster too. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I definitely do. I want to do a public service announcement here really quickly. So if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, we're trying to get our YouTube numbers up. So please please subscribe to our channel, please share. If you're on this stream now, you want to go to our YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed, we're trying to get those numbers up. Every week we get a few more people subscribing. So I also want to mention, if you're new to Black Blockchain Consultants, we have a bundle, and that is Blockchain 101 certification class, as well as a membership. 1-year membership to BBC. So you can check that out at blockchainstudies.tech. That's blockchainstudies.tech. And you can check that out as well as all of our other blockchain classes. Final thing that I will say, I'm sorry that our guest isn't here tonight, but that's okay. We have some guests coming up. So let me tell you who we got coming to the building. There is a guy named Steve Lamada. And let me see here. I think I might need to share my, yeah, I do. Okay, let me share here my screen. Okay, we have a guy named Steve Lamada from SnapX Platform. This is SnapX Platform. He is coming on Monday, April 20th. Oh goodness, I didn't write down the time. I think it's like 11 o'clock Eastern. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, guys. 11 o'clock Eastern. He's coming at 11 o'clock Eastern on Monday, April 20th, to talk about his platform. So if you're, into any kind of resume verification, HR, stuff like that, he'll be here in the building. You can ask him questions. Then on Tuesday, April 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have a gentleman named Ryan Robinson. He is coming from Conduit Computing. So next generation of cloud computing, he's coming to talk about conduit computing and what he sees happening within cloud computing. Then on Wednesday, April 22nd, we have Deirdre McIntyre. She runs Black People in Cryptocurrency. She is coming to Blockchain Chat. She has confirmed. So we'll make sure she confirms again, but she is very much a part of what BBC is doing. So she'll be here for Blockchain Chat on April 22nd. Then on April 29th, we have Michelle Hayward coming to talk about LinkedIn and LinkedIn success. So she's coming to Blockchain Chat as well. So if you're looking for a blockchain job, or you want to use blockchain more effective, you want to use LinkedIn more effectively to connect with blockchain heavyweights, then definitely be in the building for Michelle on April 29th during Blockchain Chat, 7:30 p.m. So I will be sending out multiple emails to everyone about all of these guests, but we have some people coming. And then in May, we do have some surprises coming as well. We have a theme for May that I think everyone is going to like. And we're excited. We're going to be bringing that to you, and we're going to be doing a lot more for Inner Circle members, especially. So anybody have any other announcements or any comments about some of the lineup that we have coming up that we want to tell the family?
Ooh, we're excited about LinkedIn. We'll eventually have our LinkedIn course coming up real soon. So we're working on that right now. So watch for that. At Blockchain Studies Tech, coming.
We're talking about the blockchain startup accelerator that she's proposing. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation.
I'm looking forward to it. I know that she's been doing a lot in the community. I've never met her before, but we know of each other. So, this will be a great time for us to connect with another Black blockchain heavyweight here in our space. So let me just make sure I see more people joined in. Let me just make sure that Paul didn't pop in as a guest. No, he's not here. Okay, so was somebody going to say something before I jump?
People are kind of having issues getting in, maybe some of that back end stuff you've been talking about going on, Talisha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just tell them to stop. Like I said, it'll just ask you to, the re-verification process is going on, but just let it hold for a second and then it'll pop you into the group.
My niece is trying to get on too, Cherie. She says she's in the waiting room. She's in a...
Oh, yeah, because she started off as a panelist. So let's see here.
She sent me a screenshot saying she was in the waiting room or something.
Yeah, I didn't realize I put it in the waiting room. I just wanted her to be...
There she is.
Yeah.
There she is.
I don't want to remove her, and I didn't want to put her on hold. Let me just hide her like that. Yes. Okay. I apologize, my niece. I didn't realize it had you blocked out like that. I just wanted you to be able to listen and not be on the screen. Okay. So I found something really cool in LinkedIn today, and I'm like, I got to tell somebody. So I'm telling you, right? Because sometimes you discover something, and some of you may already know this. I didn't know it, and I considered myself somebody who uses LinkedIn, regularly, and I didn't know this. So maybe this will bless and help some of you as well. So let me show you my screen here. And okay, so one of the interesting things that LinkedIn has is it has trending topics or trending hashtags. And again, I just kind of discovered this today, but if you go to my network here, so this is my LinkedIn screen, you go to my network here and you see down here where it says hashtags.
Yeah.
You can click on that. And right now I'm not following anything, so it doesn't show anything. But if I click on Follow Fresh Perspectives, all of a sudden this comes up here, and this shows us some of the top most followed hashtags within LinkedIn, as well as some people who are very popular and well followed as well. So startups has 21.4 million followers. Innovation has 38.7 million followers. So you begin to see what is popular within here. You have social entrepreneurship, 5.9 million followers. COVID-19 has 400,000. Lean startups, 19.2 million followers. So you have all sorts of hashtags in here, all sorts of people, Bill Gates with 26 million followers, etc. So then I said, well, let me put in the search in here, hashtag blockchain. And you get all of these options you can check out as well. So they will suggest things, but let's see how many people are following blockchain.
Let's see.
86,625 people are following blockchain, and you can follow it as well, right? So I'm not going to follow it right now, but then you're able to click on blockchain and you're able to see the posts that have hashtag blockchain in it. So this is where we can start using the virus to our advantage. One of the big things that I'm doing right now, and a lot of people are doing, are virtual coffees, where you get to meet with people one-on-one and connect with them in a way that, everyone is connecting right now, which is through virtual coffees. If you don't want to pay for Zoom, there is a free level of Zoom for up to 40 minutes for a one-on-one meeting. Or a friend of mine used freeconferencecall.com. They have a virtual video meeting there as well, or you could do Skype or something like that. There's a lot of applications that you can use at no cost. But you're able to go through here and see who's talking about blockchain and who you want to connect with. So let's see if we can find someone good in here that we may want to connect with. I'm sorry?
Good. As you scroll past people.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. So this guy's talking about Forex. I was looking for somebody who would be good. Okay, let's talk about blockchain technology and healthcare, a primer for surgeons. So this is Jorge Ferrer, medical information fellow, et cetera, et cetera. He has presented this information about blockchain tech in healthcare. One of the things I noticed, well, he doesn't have the ability to comment here, but you can like. And if he didn't have any comments here, like, he's an excellent person if you wanted to connect with, to comment, to be able to try to connect with him, and to, well, I think he's a doctor, so he's probably busy right now, but eventually he may be somebody that you can sit down and have virtual coffee with. So I'm just trying to expand people's minds here about how you're able to to connect with influencers in blockchain. Also, if you're looking for a blockchain job, as you're going through, you're looking at different companies that could potentially be hiring. You know, this could be something you can use as well in order to find interesting people that you want to connect with. So I will throw it out to my panel, because y'all may have known about this. I didn't. So
I do. Yeah, that's how most people find me, is through that process. And I've always used hashtags. And again, that's a very helpful way to, you know, basically glean through a lot of information. Hashtags being used across social media platforms definitely help you index yourself, index the topic that you're looking for, as well as yourself. So if you're using, again, we typically use here in BBC Blockchain Matters. If you look across any platform and type that in, you're going to find one of us.
right.
Because
So you brought up something interesting, which is this is how people find you. So I wasn't using hashtags before in business plan writing. I just was doing my own thing, just posting randomly, and people were finding me anyway. People will use, you know, research different hashtags in order to find you. And this is one of the ways you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions of dollars a year, by being this type of influencer and getting in and connecting with the right people, but also posting the right stuff and having a collection of posts to show that you are the blockchain in health, or blockchain and IOT, or whatever niche or major, you guys know how I feel about the majors, that you choose to be. So.
And can I back that up too? I know the two blockchain opportunities that came to me actually came to me in just this situation through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be. If you are particularly a blockchain, in blockchain, that community is so small that, you know, leveraging this hashtag piece, or certainly optimizing your LinkedIn profile, it actually does work. Those algorithms do work for you. So yeah, this is really a very powerful tool. Everybody knows about Facebook, but this is like the Facebook for professionals. You got to get in. It's always surprising to me when we have professionals who do not have a LinkedIn profile, you know.
Oh yeah, I thought that, I did not realize how many people did not have LinkedIn profiles. So if you do not, I cannot encourage you enough to get a LinkedIn profile if you are any type of a professional, because LinkedIn is where everything happens on the professional level. Tess was saying that my volume was low. Is my volume low?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right. Just to make sure that people can hear me. Yes, please, please, please get a profile, a LinkedIn profile. So. Eric, go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, you unmuted, so I thought, okay, well, Eric's about to jump in here. Okay, all right. So let's see here. So Tangi is saying it sounds like an awesome lineup of speakers. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. We're going to definitely learn a lot from different areas of blockchain and technology. So. All righty then. Let us talk about our topic then of the night. I was going to talk about this topic anyway with our guests, but we'll just talk about it amongst ourselves, and that is blockchain and Internet of Technologies. So you all know I'm always telling you to pick a major, and this could be a major that you decide to pick. So since we have so many people here, and some of you are new, let me tell you what picking a major is, because this is the way that we talk. When you go to college, freshman and sophomore year, you usually do general studies. So within BBC and blockchain, general studies is learning about blockchain 101, smart contracts, just like an overview, tokenization, you know, other use cases that are available. You do general studies. Blockchain chat is general studies. We give an overview of the things that are happening in blockchain industry. Then junior year of college, you pick a major. So, you know, if you're going to study accounting, if you're going to study finance, education, whatever it is in college, you pick a major. In blockchain, I suggest everyone do the same thing. Pick a major, and you can pick a major based on use cases or based on industries. So selecting something that you already do, for example, Nafisia, who is in the medical profession, she is taking her medical knowledge and, adding blockchain to it. So, some of you are project managers or product managers or things like that. You can take your skill as well and add blockchain to it. So I have a fascination now with all things tech, and I think that the Internet of Things market is very, it interests me tremendously. Smart cities and all of that stuff. I'm not going to do anything with it, but I'm very interested.
You never know.
As far as I know, yeah, unless I mastermind some deal that I put together.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in getting into blockchain and IoT, you're looking at a $9 billion industry by 2027. You could take the LinkedIn stuff we just talked about and become the thought leader with blockchain and IoT. I just want to make people aware of options for jobs as well as businesses that you can start. So it's valued at 37.4 million in 2018, expected to reach 9 billion by 2027. The rising penetration of IoT connected devices across the world will uplift the demand for blockchain IoT during the forecasted period. IoT connected devices across the world have surpassed the installed basis from 7 billion in 2018 to 21.5 billion by 2025. So in other words, they're expecting 3x the number of connected devices in the next 5 years. That's what they're saying. So IoT still faces difficulty in solving security and privacy issues owing to its traditional architecture. Besides this, increasing cases of data breaches has forced enterprises to think about a new model or architecture. Blockchain, I think, is proven to be a game changer for IoT that uses distributed ledger technology to solve security challenges. So a couple of examples they have is Blocklet Foundation Kit. The kit will demonstrate users, I don't think this person edited this properly, demonstrate to users these smart contract functions. Along with this, it also helps in generating IoT blockchain transactions. So it's basically helping with smart contract functions. Sorry, guys. MXC Foundation and InLink Midstream announced their collaboration to provide MX protocol for smart city hardware, and IBM and Maersk created Trade Lens. The solution will enhance the secure and efficient trade worldwide by bringing various players together at one platform to share information securely and uplift the industry-wide innovation. Blockchain job, blockchain job, blockchain job. Blockchain subcontracting opportunities, blockchain subcontracting opportunities, blockchain subcontracting opportunities. I'm going to continuously say this so that you all can see the dots connecting. You go to LinkedIn, you find out who's working at these companies, invite them to virtual coffee. You can even leverage BBC and say, hey, Cherie, I want to invite the head of one of these companies to come and talk to BBC. Would you invite them? I would say, absolutely. Do you want to be on the panel to interview them? Because you can. This is not about me. This is about us. I want people to start leveraging BBC to its fullest potential. And we have close to 200 videos on YouTube. We can show a track record for 2 years in a way that maybe you can't by yourself. So leverage us. I'm almost done with this article. The smart city is the most lucrative end user segment in the global blockchain IoT market.
Most
Told you I like smart cities, is the most lucrative end user segment in the global blockchain IoT market, or the smart cities. So if people get into smart cities, it's the wave of the future. And North America has a substantial share in the global blockchain IoT market owing to the presence of global IoT leaders coupled with prior adoption of blockchain solutions in the region. So I was surprised to see this. That's why I highlighted it. So that's the highlights of the article. I'm going to throw it out to anybody who wants to talk about this.
Oh, you know, and I want to jump in because I forgot to say something about smart contracts. Smart contracts is my thing. I think that, well, we know that is what drives all of the connectivity between all of these Internet of Things and, you know, everything that has to happen with this. And I actually forgot to tell you guys that, yeah, I have Simba Chain is coming to do a demo of their product for us too in the inner circle at 3 o'clock on Monday, the 20th, April 20th. So I forgot to say that, Simba Chain. So yeah,
So we have a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, goodness gracious, sorry about that. But yes, Internet of Things is where it's at. That's what all of this 5G is necessary for that we keep hearing about. So yeah, IoT, wherever you can get in, where you fit in with your existing you know, a professional skill sets, because that was one big thing I did want to bring out that you were doing there with LinkedIn. We weren't talking about, you know, developers. We were talking about your existing skills. It was, you know, we hear about that all the time with regard to any type of technology, right? That it's always, you know, the coding types and such like that. But we're talking about the kind of support that's still necessary with skills that you already likely have, you know. Yeah, and that's our focus here at BBC.
I'll piggyback onto that because with regard to the integration piece, and this is the larger piece even before the technology happens, the business functionality that has to take place of what information is being captured by the IoT device is crucial because it doesn't need to capture everything at all the same time. So that's really particular to the circumstances, the things that it needs, and it's very much like a ad hoc kind of thing. The person who knows that workflow, like what I need to capture when, how does that work, and where do I leverage that? All of that happens well in advance to the tech. That person is needed in order to scope the project. And with that, every IoT device is going to have that happen. Like, where does it connect? Where do we get that information from? Is it already somewhere else? All of those things that really are important with the data traveling from and to the devices is one of those things that a business person would handle, a project manager would handle, not a tech person.
Exactly. And let me
call that field. But the person who said why that field is important, what kind of data is in that field, how long do we need to capture that data for? That's a legal question. Who can see that data? Does it need to be encrypted in this manner or not? There's a whole lot of business analysts that need to happen. That analysis from the, you know, from the game point of when it hits the device capturing it and then sending it on, all of that has to be scoped well before they even implement the tech to get it to work that way.
You bring up a point again that my angle is always to encourage people wherever they are in terms of their level of you know, tech skill or whatever, or tech savviness or lack thereof. What you're bringing out is the real knowledge that a person has, and that brings in a lot of our people who are older, you know, seasoned, I'll say, you know, this is a nice word.
Mature, yes.
And mature professionals who feel like, oh, you know, there's no use for me. But based on what you've just said, most often than not, we get a knowledge drain out of these companies when we push out our older or our seasoned and mature professionals. And this is where you guys can pivot, you know, you can pivot and use those skills that you have and your understanding of those processes, and now bring that to a digital space, which is basically what you're talking about. So I just want to encourage, really encourage everybody. Everybody can take a major, like Cherie's been suggesting, and find your space in this new and emerging technologies.
Or just even look at your current skill set. I always say, what do you know from the front end to the back end? Like, it so very well that you know the pitfalls. And you say, oh, well, we kind of do this Jimmy rig thing over here because it doesn't work that way really well. You have just identified a very strong gap that will need to be filled, because if you or the not there, that you know that part, that you have to circumvent that step, then that becomes the gap when somebody has to replace you. Yeah. And so you're irreplaceable in that sense if you know how these steps work. Like the New Jersey governor is asking people to code COBOL, which is an extraordinarily old language, like just crazy. But because they cannot process the COVID claims right now because of that system, and it needs its updates, and no one knows that scope, they're calling on people who were truly in retirement, or probably even older than that, because it was used in the 70s. So I mean,
and I would be asking for a crap load of money if I were those older people.
Because you're the only one that knows.
The only one that can. And I'm
it's going to take you time. I mean, it's not even the fact that you have to wade through this code. Like it's a crazy kind of thing, but the fact that it's broken. So not only do you have to survey where it is right now, you have to make a solution out of something that is really going to be difficult. It's not just going to be patch it and let's go. You're going to have to do a whole lot of things, and you're going to have to learn how to integrate it, because you need to pull it out of that old system. It just needs to flow through it. It really is the bottleneck at this point. And that's where you said, if you know something in that particular manner, in that process, that's really for you. That is your golden ticket, because that in itself is the business analyst and the functional specs of anything that they need to do. And you can say, okay, where can we improve this process? Because you probably know it, and you're saying, I would love if we could just cut this part out. This part is kind of the hard part, and it's redundant. It doesn't need this, and we get that information somewhere else anyway. That's where you can make those efficiency hacks come to life. And again, all of that needs to be discussed well before the tech is even implemented.
Exactly. Which goes back to the initial conversation we had about doing part A before we do part B.
Yes.
Or how many companies are out there that are running, and they're not taking care of the basics, and eventually the basics, come up to bite them. So, and the other thing is, Celicia gave me some great advice for this business that I'm starting. And because of that, I started doing a lot of research on cybersecurity and data breaches, and was shocked to find out that the average data breach within a small business costs the business $200,000, and a lot of times bankrupts the business. So that's not even mid-sized or big businesses, which big businesses usually can take care of the blow of that. So when they started talking about blockchain and IoT, they mentioned the data breaches and how all of these devices are going to be getting on IoT, because it's not just your cell phone. It's if you have a smart doorbell, it's, the smart locks. I'm not putting those things on my door, but all of that. The washing machines, like you'll be able to start your washing machine from the Target, or, all of this stuff. And we have to think about the fact that hackers, this is something else I was researching thanks to Talisha, hackers are looking for wealth data and health data. Those things are priceless on the black market. And any kind of data that you have going through these things, if they can breach it, they can get access to it. And then once one thing is connected, they can get access to the other things in your system. So just like Talisha was saying, being able to think through, if you're a strategic thinker and you can think through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and you're able to, you're that relative that everyone hates at Thanksgiving because you're the one that's like, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? You have found your calling tonight April 15th, 2020. This is your career if you haven't selected one yet.
Or at least a good side hustle.
Or a good
And that's
side
a great
hustle.
consultant. You can come in, do what you need to do, and leave. That's the greatest part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Eric.
No, one thing I was going to think about just with IT, and of course, I'm gonna plug this book again. We've been covering it in our book club here, for BBC.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, like they talk a lot about IoT and about smart cities, and I've just been thinking about it, because one of the things that they covered was buildings themselves, where they will have separate IoT devices in the building. There's, one, covering the heating and cooling, and another is covering the security, and another is covering, how much energy is going out of the building and that sort of thing. But all of those will need to communicate and transact with one another. One of the things that will do is that will increase the value of the building itself, because you'll have really hard data that shows you exactly, hey, this is how much, and that will be an entire different industry. And also you talked about each of the devices themselves will be owned independently. It won't just be the building, it will be this company owns that, that IoT device. But I also thought about it, in smart cities are one thing, but I think sometimes we almost imagine smart cities being built from the ground up, when there will be certain cases like that. I know Akon was talking about doing that in Africa, right? But also there will be a huge job market will be for those who are able to retrofit other existing buildings, from residential places to wherever. Like my daughter, she lives in New York and she's in the energy sector. And she made a point to me the other day. She was like, Dad, it's funny because if we continue with this lockdown, and if we go on into the summer and everybody's home, quarantined in their own places, and they all turn on their air conditions, she said, expect to see massive blackouts because it would all be concentrated. And I was like, wow.
We're already feeling it with the internet. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like the internet is doing a thing, and the phone,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
I
I
do.
don't understand. Well, I do understand everybody's online. So yeah. As much
Yes.
as global technology, it's kind of amazing that, we can't be online like this, and,
Well, that's the stress test. And this is the use case where you have to think about those things. And we've already discussed this from a healthcare perspective. Again, having the energy in a hospital or any kind of large clinic scenario, this becomes a very strong thing when you have to have devices that are necessary to keep people alive, and you need energy to keep, ventilators going, the lights on, and as well as the computer system. Because if the computer system goes down, now I don't have any of your healthcare records. I don't know how to treat you. So all of these things are segregated for that purpose, to ensure that. But yes, when you have a surge, we have to always consider what happens and what is that impact when we have an overload of the system. And this is where the IoT devices become very critical, in the sense that they can detect. They are proactive aspects to this business where you can see it gradually climbing. And at that point, there's a need to make some modifications. You would have to wait. And that's the difference between when the blackout happens, you react to it. Whereas, yes, you know what, I can tell you 20 hours ahead that if you continue to use this and consume this much energy, you're going to have it at 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. It's going to black out. So that's where we have these things. And again, I think the smart city is a really interesting terminology. I think we have a conceptual vision of what a smart city is. From the reality of what smart cities mean, it could just mean anything that's connected. So I always look at the smart houses of now, they're really about their smart kitchens. If the oven is connected to your refrigerator, and if they can talk, you have a smart kitchen. Right. That's really all that it is. That's all that it requires, is 2 devices or more. Right. So when we look at the development of smart cities, these can be containment. So we can do that. Like I said, a hospital in itself, having any of that technology can garner a smart city kind of retrofitting action, because it is a microcosm and an ecosystem unto itself that it can power, and it tells what's going on. Anything that registers what is going on and have preemptive analytics, I think that's what they call them, is considered a smart something.
Mhm.
So when we're looking at that, that's where we're kind of the lights being turned on and off on the streets, dimming them at a certain time when there's no energy consumption right now in New York City. It's down like so incredibly that they need to now physically dim the lights outside because there's no people outside. But if they had an IoT device to do that, how simple that could be to make that the grid different. And I think these are the kind of things that we got to look forward to. You have to kind of think about, like, what does that really mean, and be very inquisitive. But at the same time, there's a whole bunch of things that we're coming across that now need to be implemented in a different way. So we are taking something from the old and moving it to the new. We're just not kind of just slapping some new technology on it and saying it's new. We do have to process things differently now.
That's the biggest shift right now that makes this whole piece so difficult for people. You say this all the time because, this isn't the old way. This is not, it's just like the whole idea of going from 4G to, 4G to 5G. It's not just 4 to 5. There's a lot of tech differences going on in there. And similarly, like we've talked about before, it's a shift in our mindset so that we can even wrap our minds around what's really, really possible. Because like just even the example that you just gave, we were just talking about the internet and whatnot, and how you were just saying if we could dim the lights in certain places, maybe that energy could get pushed somewhere else and help us with the overload.
And it can. And now you can. This is where tokenization comes in really nicely too. To put it all together, I can sell you my energy that I've saved.
That's
What
right.
if I keep my temperature on 66? That would be cold for me. But that's how it was. Yeah, I don't use air conditioning, so I'm going to be real good. I'm like, I'm not contributing to global warming. But if I take it and I can make this, and now I'm efficient, my token can actually be restored to me at this point. Like now I can be rewarded for my energy saving or for my efficiency that I have. And then I can sell it somewhere else. So you have this going on in Hawaii with solar power being stored and now being used and given to different areas. And again, that's where you have populated areas that obviously have a surplus and those desolated areas that don't. And now you can distribute that much more seamlessly and have some value exchange for that process.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple of comments in here that just came to the panelists, so I want to read it for everybody. Daniel is saying, keep your investments in solar energy, or now is a good time to buy its stocks. So that's what Daniel is saying. I will say that, Daniel, I personally went out in my retirement account, so I'm not banking on the money immediately, and bought hotel stocks, cruise stocks, and airline stocks. No sucker's going to be back up in 5 years. Like this is not investment advice, so please do not take what Cherie is doing. I will tell you, I went into my E-Trade account and I looked at the charts, and if it was 60 3 months ago and now it's 20, I bought that sucker. United Airlines.
40 differential, I'm doing it.
Yes, yeah. United Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Norwegian Cruise Lines, like anybody that I thought had a decent service.
Like any boat. Where is the boat?
That was what your girl did, because they're too big to fail and they're going to come up with the money some sort of way to save these companies. So
gotta happen. They're global.
So yeah. So, but my niece is also saying a good example of a smart city is Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. She lived there for 5 years and understands the energy concept. So yeah, great example, Talisha. That is the way we are headed. Yes. So, if you want to study smart cities, if you want to pick that as a major, there's a lot of information out there, and there's going to be a lot of thought leadership and education. You're going to be able to write white papers and books about it, or you're going to be able to match smart cities with some other aspect. I haven't heard about anybody really talk about smart cities and social justice, because there are some concerns with regards to that, especially for our communities. So, that may be the flag that you try to take, And Eric is saying here, thank you. That was smart, Cherie. I heard the Saudis are even looking to buy cruise line stock. Oh,
on
Mhm.
that.
right.
He's like, yay!
No.
He's like, go ahead,
Please,
buy
the
it.
Saudis, please buy the stock. Yes,
Yeah,
No, they're
the
Norwegian
buying
real
the
Cruise
thing.
whole
Line.
thing. They're buying the whole industry, and
Yes,
Yes.
sure
they're
did.
getting they see the differential too. They're like, oh yeah, let's just buy a cruise line.
Let's just run.
Yes.
Well, okay. So one of the things with the cruise lines, I know this isn't blockchain related, but we'll talk about it. With the cruise lines, they are not eligible for the bailouts because they are technically not United States companies. They are technically Bermudan or something like that. They wanted the tax haven, so now they're not in line for that. So that's probably why the Saudis are putting money into it. But in 3 to 5 years, people are gonna be going back on cruises again. So yeah, your girl put her money, her retire, just a little bit of retirement money. I didn't go crazy into those stocks. Yes, I did. Okay, so we got 3 minutes left, but I want to make sure to give you the rundown of our next couple of weeks. We have a lot of people coming either to BBC, Inner Circle, or just in general. On Monday, April 20th, we have at 11 a.m., we have Steve Lamata. Steve Lamata is from SnapX platform, which talks about verified resumes and verifying and certifying resumes on the blockchain. Then April 20th at 3 p.m., we have Simba Chain coming on. And Simba Chain is about, what is it about? Smart contracts, right?
Contracts in a very simple way. Again, don't need any major coding with it. It's really, really going to be interesting. I'm excited about that, big time. Yeah.
So that's Monday, April 20th, 3 p.m., Simba Chain. If you're interested in smart contracts, you can plug in for that. Then on Tuesday, April 21st, we have Ryan Robinson coming in, and he's coming to talk about conduitcomputing.com. So conduit computing is the next generation of compute cloud. So that's your thing. Or if you're just curious, pop on in. On April 22nd, which is next Wednesday, for Blockchain Chat, we have Deirdre McIntyre coming. She is the head of Black People and Cryptocurrency. She's also starting an incubator for blockchain companies. So we want to definitely hear from her. Be in the building next week for Blockchain Chat for that. On April 29th, we have Michelle Hayward coming in. That's Wednesday, April 29th, Blockchain Chat. She's coming in to talk about LinkedIn. Like I gave you a primer for LinkedIn tonight. Michelle's coming to give us the whole enchilada. You're looking for a job, you want to start a business, gotta be in LinkedIn, and Michelle's going to bless us with her knowledge. And then in May, we got some surprises coming up as well. May is going to be lit in BBC. So somebody's asking, how do they get on the mailing list? Email me info@blackblockchainconsultants.com and ask to be on the mailing list, and I'm going to put you on the constant contact list. Now, we have some inner circle things that are coming up. You have to be a member of the inner circle in order to get access to those things. But our general stuff, if you're on our constant contact list, email me info@blackblockchainconsultants.com. I'll throw you on the constant contact list. You're asking how much for membership? It's $100 for the year. You can go to blockchainstudies.tech and either purchase membership by itself, or you could purchase membership in a bundle with the Blockchain 101 certification. So check that out, blockchainstudies.tech, blockchainstudies.tech. And don't forget, if you're going to our YouTube page, to please subscribe, because we're trying to get our numbers up on YouTube. We're going to be at 1,000. It's going to take us some time. We're going to get there. Wait until blockchain explodes, and everybody's going to be coming to BBC asking. That's right.
All right, we'll be relevant. It's okay. You'll hear it first. Right?
We will be relevant. We just like Talisha's relevant. Everybody's calling her now about all sorts of technology. So, all righty then. Well, this was a great show, great time. We talked about various things, but I definitely think it was worthwhile. I'm going to let my lovely crew here give their final words. So Dr. Keisha, why don't we start with you? Final words.
I just want to encourage everybody to just, jump in where you fit in. You've been hearing about this blockchain thing, and definitely if you're following us, you can continue to follow us and kind of catch up with everything. Definitely visit Center for Blockchain Studies at blockchainstudies.tech. Get a quick primer on just about all things blockchain from our point of view. We make things understandable from a use case perspective. And, again, we've already said to you, you bring value, and we're talking everybody, whatever your skill set is, whatever your interest is. If you're just somebody who's even tuning into this, we know you're that person that, that you're that like-minded individual who just needs to go ahead and take that next step. And we're here for you. Come and learn all you need to know. We'll fill the gap.
Absolutely. Talisha, final words.
Also with the, going to blackstudies.tech, you can also come to our Facebook group, because again, I put a lot of information, I content curate there for you. And again, just asking questions. We do have a lot of discussions that go on there, just those quick, like, hey, what does this mean? Or how does this work? I'm always available to you there. If you have any questions, just feel free to pop those in there and I'll get to you as soon as I can.
Thank you. And we take advantage of that. So people have told Talisha they've gone into interviews and like said what she said, or gone into their boss's office and said what she said. And people are like, what?
You're gonna pay for my transcripts. I'm telling you, if you're gonna read it verbatim, please get it right. Don't misspell my words. Don't.
Eric, final.
I just want to say, we can see through some of the macro things that are happening in our world. We are accelerating towards a real transition in our time. And I want everyone to have blockchain in their arsenal, that they are able to take this technology and wield it and utilize it in a way that's going to be most beneficial for themselves. I got to say, be a part of this think tank. We have amazing discussions. The information that we exchange within BBC, I think it's fantastic. When even like the book club itself, when we just go through that and have that kind of discourse, it's just an amazing, rich learning experience. So we'd love to have you even more, join us.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go back to what I was saying in the very beginning of tonight. You can't get to B without going through A. And if we try to rush A, if we try to rush our foundation, then when we get to B and we start, adding all sorts of activities and people and things like that, then we're going to have a house that crumbles. So I know it's difficult. We want blockchain to be right here. We want our businesses to be right here. We want to grow, at the speed of lightning. But like Talisha said, that's when you end up with the patches and you end up with a whole mess on the back end. So definitely take Blockchain 101, learn the basics, learn the various aspects of blockchain, use our YouTube channel. It's totally free. Use our Facebook. It's totally free to just go and see what's happening overall. And you'll know when you find that right thing. You're like, that's what I want to study. Whether it's smart contracts, whether it's tokenization, whether it's healthcare, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, and then dig deep and become number one, number two, or number three most well-known thought leader in that, and own it. Just like you, LeBron on the court. Right? So that is it for me. That is it for us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Black Blockchain Consultants community. And we will see you. We have a ton of things happening. If not, we'll see you next week at Blockchain Chat. God bless everybody. Have a great evening. Stay safe.
Everyone.
Safe, guys.
Bye-bye.